The Not So Great Outdoors contains stories of a graphic nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
The outdoors are great, except when they're not.
Welcome to the Not So Great Outdoors. We're your guides. I'm Sab.
And I'm Piff, and this week we are doing Buried Alive Survivors.
No! That's like, oh God, that's the worst.
Sab, would you say being buried alive is one of your fears?
It wouldn't necessarily be like, I can go underground and be like, oh, I'm fine, so like I wouldn't say it's necessarily a fear, but the thought of being buried alive freaks me out. So I guess it is a fear, but I think it would freak anybody out.
Yeah, I think dying in any dramatic fashion.
Yeah, but it's not something like when I go underground, it's not something I worry about.
Okay.
I don't know. Is it something you think about?
No.
Okay.
But it's also like on my list of ways I don't want to go.
I mean, for sure. I would rather not die in any dramatic fashion.
Yeah. Like on the list are like being burned alive is at the top.
Yeah.
Like that's the one.
Really?
That's the thing I would not want to do. That's the worst way to go.
I would agree, but like,
because it's
also that or being suffocated.
Depends on how you're suffocated.
Like I would rather not drown.
Oh, drowning is not on my list of ways I wouldn't want to go. Because
Really?
if you know you're dying and you're drowning, just like, and like you'll
You
just
take
pass
a
out.
big breath. Yeah. I guess that's true.
Drowning's like a lot more peaceful than burning alive, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think by suffocate, like being choked, or like being like physically like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it.
Out. Oh gosh. Jeez. I'm glad these are survivor stories. Because, like I can think about that, but also like, if I'm being buried alive, I hope it kills me. Because because I wouldn't want to live with the fact that I was buried alive, but I somehow made it. I don't know. I just feel like that would be really traumatizing.
So these tips on what to do if you find yourself buried alive, you don't want me to tell you?
I do want you to tell me. Because I don't actually mean I hope it kills me, but I'm just saying, like, I'm going to need some serious therapy. After any kind of traumatic event.
I think any attempt on your life would require serious therapy.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always said that if I was in a horror film, I would definitely be the person who got killed, like, first. Not because I'm like, I'm going to walk towards the sound of the chainsaw. Like, not because I'm like that.
No, I'm the person who's like, but like, what if we go and like do the thing we're not supposed to do? Open the book that causes the demons to come out.
You would die instantly.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I'm also one of the first to go.
Yeah. I feel like I'm one of the first to go because I'm not like very strong. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be able to fight someone off, I don't think. I don't know, though. Once adrenaline kicks in, you can do a lot. But like, I don't know. I just always feel like I'm like an easy target. And I would probably die first.
Well, and usually the first one to go in a standard horror flick, it's a woman.
Yeah, or a black man, which like why? But
because movie tropes.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Okay, yeah. Tell me what to do if I get buried alive.
Well, first, happy first day of Hanukkah to our Jewish listeners.
Yes.
Hope you are celebrating safely. I have been told, I think, that Hanukkah is not as big of a deal as Christmas is. They have other holidays that are more big of a deal. But happy Hanukkah.
Oh, really? Huh, okay. Cool. I think that's what, I don't know why. That's one of the things that I think are really cool to learn about. Like, different traditions, different holidays, like different things. Like when I was in college, I went to a Methodist student center, like as the like church group kind of thing I did in college, whatever. It doesn't matter. But they do a lot of like what I had only ever known about in like Catholic churches. Like they observe a lot of things, like Lent. Like I had never observed Lent before.
A lot
like,
of non-Catholic Christians observe Lent.
I had never known that my whole life.
I am a Catholic Christian and didn't know other Christians did that.
Yeah.
But then when I was in high school, one of my friends, her dad was a pastor at like our Lutheran church, and she's like, "Oh no, we do Lent," and I was like, "That's so cool."
Yeah, I had never done Ash Wednesday until I was in that church, and I had never done Lent. I had never done Advent. I knew Advent calendars were a thing, but like I didn't know what Advent was. Like
purple, pink, purple.
What?
That's the Advent candles. So there are 4 candles on the Advent wreath, and they're purple, pink, purple, and so each candle represents a different thing in that week that you're supposed to be reflecting on.
Why is there one pink? And the rest
so the pink is more special. I don't remember.
Okay. That's fine. But I didn't know that was a thing. I don't know, but I just think it's cool. So like Hanukkah, yeah. I just think it's cool. So happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. And again, I hope you're celebrating safely. So let's talk about being buried alive.
Oh God. Okay.
So also this turned out to be fascinating. And I did a lot of Googling about being buried alive in general because my cases that we're going to be doing today, yes, plural.
I don't know why. I kind of assumed that there were going to be a plethora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
why? Not why did you do multiple, just like why, and I don't know, just why.
Yeah, I don't know, but if you're like looking for like a really fascinating Google like buried alive things, because it's wild.
I have a question. Whenever you Google and like do your research, do you use an incognito window or do you just do it? I always use an incognito window because I don't want to bring all this crap. But I also do a lot of paranormal searches, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't need popping up as ads, anything to do with the paranormal. I just don't need it.
Yeah, I probably should.
It's too late now.
We're here. I haven't yet.
It's fine.
There was one thing I Googled during this, and I was like, well, I don't want them to think that I actually needed to Google this. I was just trying to find a resource, and we'll get to it. But I'm like, maybe. But at the same time,
maybe just clear browser history. Just like,
it's fine. So to start off, I really just wanted to know what the odds were of being buried alive.
Yeah.
Thankfully, nowadays, it's relatively low. But in that journey, I managed to find these ways that they used to check if you were dead from back in ye olden days.
Ye olden days.
And it's a trip. Here are my favorites.
They used to check if you were dead, so they wouldn't just check, like, are they breathing? No? All right, they're dead.
Well, that's not a good enough indicator.
I mean, no. But, you know, I don't know. I just think it's funny that there's multiple ways other than looking for a pulse and are they breathing?
We'll get to it.
Okay.
So this is from lithub.com, and these are my favorite ways that they used to check if you were dead. Quote, shoving needles under the toenails or into the heart or stomach.
Into the heart? If they weren't dead, but if they weren't dead, well, there you go. You just did it. What? Why? And under the toe. I'm serious. If you ever need to check to see if I'm alive, I will kill you myself. If you put anything sharp underneath any of my nails, I will hurt you.
I don't like that at all.
No. Oh my gosh. Why? They'll want to be. If you do that because and they're not dead, they'll want to be.
You know how we could check? If we do extreme pain,
yeah.
Then like if they don't react, then they're probably dead.
I mean, yeah, but like.
But also if you stab somebody in the heart,
they're gonna die. Like, why?
The next one is chopping off a finger. What?
These are so extreme. I can think of a couple other ways you would check to see if somebody's alive before you jump to that.
Yeah. This is my absolute favorite. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Writing, I am really dead in invisible ink on a piece of paper, then putting the paper over the corpse in question's face. According to the inventor of this method, if the body was putrefying, sulfur dioxide would be emitted, thus revealing the message. Unfortunately, sulfur dioxide can also be emitted by living people, like those with decaying teeth. End quote. That's my favorite.
It sounds like something you would try to do, like, you know those cheap, like, spy kits you could get as a kid?
I
with, like, the invisible thing. I did, too.
I wanted to be a spy so badly, but I have poor eyesight. I'm not coordinated.
You looked into becoming a spy?
Specifically, I looked into becoming an FBI field agent.
Ah. Yeah, I have horrible eyesight.
Yeah.
And terrible coordination as well.
So, unfortunately, disqualifies me from doing that. So nowadays, of course, we have much more sophisticated ways to make sure people are actually dead.
You know, like sticking your finger to their jugular vein and seeing if you feel a little vibration. Called a heartbeat.
Or you could drag a cotton swab over their eyeball. These are real things that happen nowadays.
Like their eyeball, not their eyelid, their eyeball.
Their eyeball, because they want to see if your nervous system reacts.
Yeah.
Even if you're in a coma, these things will work.
Yeah.
Testing your gag reflex, like moving your ventilator around inside to see if you gag while in a coma. Injecting ice water into your ear canal.
I mean, that's way less painful than
these other things, but also still really, guys.
Yeah.
And, doing an EEG, which actually tests for brain activity.
Yeah.
Luckily,
but if you're in the field and you happen to have a Q-tip, stick it in their eyeball. But
yeah. Well, and those methods are mostly used for coma patients who they're trying to see if they're brain dead.
Yeah.
And luckily, if you are in a coma and they're trying to figure out if you're brain dead, you have to fail multiple of these tests and be confirmed dead by multiple different doctors to go from simply being in a coma to being brain dead.
Yeah.
From mortician Caitlin Doty, the writer of the article I've been referring to, quote, having seen thousands of dead bodies in my career, let me tell you, dead people are very dead in a very predictable way. Not that my words sound all that comforting or scientific, but I feel confident saying that this is not going to happen to you. On your list of freaky ways to die, you can move buried alive, coma, down to just below terrible gopher accident.
Terrible gopher accident. Are gophers vicious creatures?
No, that's why it's low on the list.
Wait. Could a gopher kill you?
I mean, anything can kill you.
I guess. Yeah.
Just like anyone can cook.
Anyone can cook. I love that movie.
Have you seen the Rata musical things?
There's a Rata musical?
There are people on TikTok that are making Ratatouille into a musical.
That's cute.
It's this big conglomeration. It's so fun.
How do you not have a TikTok, but you know that? But me, who spends hours on TikTok, not daily. I'm not on it daily, but still hours a week.
Instagram. And Twitter. People post stuff.
You're on Twitter a lot more than me.
Yeah. Well, Hank Green is on TikTok a lot and shares things from TikTok to Twitter. So
I should follow him on Twitter. I follow him on TikTok.
He's great.
He is great.
Shout out Hank Green. Yeah. So now that we've talked about the likelihood of you being buried alive.
It didn't give me any numbers though.
It's because it's
less than 0.001% chance of being buried alive.
Nowadays, medically speaking, it's very unlikely.
Yeah.
Because we have technology.
Yeah.
But now that isn't saying that your fiance isn't going to try to murder you by burying you alive, which is what happens in both of the cases we are going to be talking about.
Jeez.
And in that case, here are 10 things you should do. Actually, it's 7. I can't count.
So consider this a warning sign. If you get engaged for Christmas, just watch out.
Consider it before you say yes.
Yeah.
So, but here's what you should do if you find yourself buried alive from worstcasescenario.com, which is my new favorite website.
Worstcasescenario.com. I love it.
So, number 1, conserve your air supply. In a normal coffin, you will only have enough air for an hour or 2. Take deep breaths, hold it for as long as possible, and then exhale. Do not light a match; it will kill you faster. And don't panic. I don't know how you're not supposed to panic in this situation, but that's what they say.
Hyperventilating will absolutely use up all of your oxygen supply.
Yeah. Also, don't start fire.
Yeah, in a wooden box.
Well, also, fire uses oxygen.
Yeah. That's what I thought first. But
don't do that.
You know what?
Also,
that sounds like a great way to be burned alive while you've been buried alive.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst way to go.
There you go.
That's it.
So
once you've, gotten your breathing under control, press up on the coffin lid. Assess the wood. Mm-hmm. What kind of container are you in? Are you in a wooden coffin? Are you in a cardboard box? Are you just under a bunch of debris? Figure that out. Next, if you are in a box, remove your shirt to make a mask to protect you from suffocating on the loose earth.
Yeah, because if you have just recently been buried, the dirt wouldn't have been packed down yet, so there's a good chance you'd be able to get out.
Uh-huh. But you also don't want to accidentally
breathe it in. Don't want to aspirate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So once you have your shirt mask on, we're familiar with masks nowadays.
Yeah.
You could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Break through the coffin.
And how are you supposed to do that?
They were kick it. If it's cheap, hopefully the weight of the dirt's already started breaking it. Just bang the shit out of that. Maybe you have something with you that you can use to break it.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking, you're going to not have very much room to be able to, rear back and, get enough going, like get enough movement.
Force, yeah, because you're in a coffin or a box or something.
And like also, okay, yeah, if I kick a hole through it, great. How is that supposed to get me out? Because if it's all the way down at my feet.
We have the next,
okay,
we have more
but it's
steps.
all the way down. Okay. See, these are the things that keep me up at night.
How am I going to get out of a coffin?
How am I going to get out?
So, break through the coffin.
Yes.
Preferably in your face area.
Yeah.
Once there's dirt coming in, move it away from the hole. So if it's by your feet, you're going to move it towards your head and somehow, like, again, try to get the hole by your face. Mm-hmm. But if you get the hole by your feet, you're going to have to yoga that bitch and turn yourself so that you're under the hole. Push the dirt away from the hole. And as you can do this, as you're moving the dirt, you're going to be pushing the dirt down and like sitting up. And then you're just going to keep pushing the dirt underneath you like a weird conveyor belt kind of situation until you have enough dirt under you that you can stand up because you're going to be moving as you're doing all of these things. It's very complicated.
You're displacing it. But that makes sense because it has to go somewhere. But if you're putting it in the box, you're removing it from your path and getting yourself out. And you can keep stepping on it as you get out.
And you're going to keep pushing the dirt down as you move up. And then once you can stand up, you're going to be able to climb out. Luckily, if you are recently buried, like Sav said, the dirt should be relatively loose and make it relatively easy to dig through. So that's what you should do should you find yourself buried alive.
Does this work with snow?
I imagine. Same situation.
Yeah. I feel like snow's easier to pack down than dirt, though.
Depends on the kind of snow.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
Yeah. I don't know.
These are not avalanche stories. That'll be some other time. Good idea, though.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to tell the stories.
If it's an avalanche, you're going to have a St. Bernard that's going to come save you.
Hopefully.
That's what's going to happen.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So now we're going to tell the stories of two women who didn't even need to read that article to survive being buried alive.
Well, good. I would like to think that my brain would think of some smart way to save myself, like if I was ever in a situation like that. But let's be honest, I'm probably just going to panic and die because I'm going to be the person who just dies in the horror movie. Like, I'm just going to follow her.
See, I feel like it depends on the situation because, like, if I'm hurt, I feel like I'm giving up. But if I'm, like, able-bodied, like, not hurt, just buried, then I'm going to be, like, I'm going to fight. Yeah. Just depends on the situation. Yeah. Because I have a very low threshold for, like, giving up and dying.
Yeah, I do too. It's like, okay. Like last week, like, I was all out. You said that she was like, I'm just going to lay here and die. I was like, that's fair. I mean, fair enough. Yeah. Like, yep.
I that's what I would have done.
Yep. I would have died.
I would have just given up.
I would have passed out.
From blood loss.
And not had enough in me, like, to, like, wake back up. Like, it just, no.
I would have said, gotta go.
Gotta go.
All right. So our first Our first buried alive survivor is Michalina Lewandowska.
Wow.
Polish.
Ah.
To explain.
Yeah.
So she was a 27-year-old Polish immigrant living in Huddersfield, West Yorkshire in England. We have a photo of her. At the time of this case, it was 2011. She was
wow. I don't know why I anticipated this being like 1980. I don't know, like
back in the day. No, both of these are like in the 2000s. It's wild.
That's terrifying. Ugh. Okay.
So she was working as a clothes mender and was a mother to a 3-year-old boy named Jacob.
Oh.
Jacob's father, Marcin Kasperzak, was also Polish and was a meat factory worker. We also have a photo of him. So Michalina and Marcin had met in Poland and moved to England together in 2006 to find work. They shared a home with Marcin's parents, and not too long after moving to England, they got engaged. And then in April of 2008, Michalina gave birth to their son, but their relationship was rocky at best. Marcin was a gym rat, but not the good kind.
I was going to say, he looks kind of like a douche canoe in this picture.
He is.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know what it is about him, but he looks like somebody who somehow has a lot of muscles, but still, I don't think is in shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that's possible, but it's a thing.
It's a weird vibe that I get from that photo.
Yeah, but I mean, if you ask my husband, who has a lot of information about fitness for whatever reason, just because you have a lot of muscles doesn't necessarily mean that you're strong and doesn't mean that you're in shape.
Yeah. He feels like one
Think bodybuilder, because like a lot of that is like for looks. It's not actually functional. I mean, it's functional obviously, but like not as functional.
Yeah, and he like was one of those kinds of people.
Yeah.
He also became addicted to anabolic steroids.
Yeah, of course.
He was prone to violent outbursts, but he was never physically violent towards Michelina until this incident. Mm-hmm. But their relationship became more sporadic, on again, off again, on again, off again. They stopped being engaged, but they still lived together with his parents and like had their son. And so it was like, it wasn't a great time. Mm-mm. So on May 28th, 2011, Marcin suggested that the pair go shopping together. And Michelina was excited because they were once again like not having a good time in their relationship, and she saw this as like a bit of an olive branch. And their son was with grandma that day, so they were going to spend the day together.
Yeah.
So she like goes and she gets ready and she does her makeup and she decides like, you know, I'm going to wear my engagement ring because like I want to show him that like I see what he's doing and I'm going to do this, and like we're going to try to make this work because like our son and stuff like that. Yeah. And so she comes out of the bathroom. She's ready to go. And her shit Santa of a boyfriend was standing in the hallway with a taser.
With a taser?
With a taser.
Why?
So keep in mind, she's 5'5" and weighs like 135 pounds. He's 6 feet tall and weighs 225 pounds. And now he has a taser. Mm-hmm. This isn't going good. Mm-mm. So he like is like, I'm going to show you how this works because I'm a douchebag. And he presses the taser against her neck and like starts tasing her.
Jeez.
And he eventually like gets her to the ground, continuing to tase her. And then he yells to his 18-year-old friend Patrick that was there to help, I guess. And is like, yo, bring me some tape. And so then they tape her wrists and ankles together.
What? Why?
Because he decided he was going to kill her.
I mean, I see that. But, okay.
Because he's a shit.
Also, why is his friend there?
Because he brought him along to help.
I mean, yeah, but like, I don't know.
Okay, so she was 27, he was 25, and this friend is 18. How do you even know an 18-year-old?
Yeah. Yeah.
I am 27. The only 18-year-olds I know are my little sister's friends because she's that age.
But yeah,
like besides like relatives, like I don't know any.
No.
So he's like, yo, Patrick, bring me some tape. And so they tape her wrists and ankles together and like leave her on the kitchen floor or the hallway floor, wherever she was. And so then a few hours pass and they're like, okay, time to put her in a cardboard box and tape it shut.
After a couple hours?
Yeah.
Like, is she unconscious?
No.
So she's just like, laying on the ground?
And she's like, guys, like, what's going on? Like, and she's like she's like, maybe they're just like trying to, like, this is like not a good joke, but maybe that's what they're trying to do.
No, I would be screaming my head off because you just tased me.
Yeah.
Like, well, what the hell?
Then they tape her mouth shut so she can't.
Oh, okay. There's that.
Because she was like, are you going to kill me? And then he was like, no. Ha 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 ha. Tapes your mouth shut. Oh, and she was like, the weirdest part was he was like calm. Like he wasn't like angry. He wasn't like in a rage. He was like just doing all these things very like.
Mental break.
Yeah, it was real weird.
Mental break.
So they put her in a cardboard box and they tape the cardboard box shut. Like all the seams, all the edges, tape it shut. And they put her in a trunk. Mm-hmm. And at no point,
trunk of a car or like a
trunk
Foot Locker trunk. Okay.
Trunk of a car.
Okay.
And so at no point during this entire time did it appear that she was like dead. I just need to like make that clear. Mm-hmm. Like she was responsive. Like they tased her. Mm-hmm. She asked him if he was gonna kill her. He taped her mouth shut, but she was still like awake and aware. Mm-hmm. So this is just proving that he's real dumb. Mm-hmm. So they drive her out into the outskirts of Huddersfield. And they bury her in the cardboard box in a shallow grave. She said, quote, I heard a spade digging and then the soil falling on top of the box. I thought, this is it. I'm going to die. End quote. Mm-hmm. Marcin and Patrick had also placed a 90-pound tree branch on top of the grave. Mm-hmm. So they dug a shallow grave, put the box in, and then, like, put this tree on top.
Jeez.
And so she was barely able to move. She was worried that if she got out while he was still there, he would kill her with the shovel, so she stayed quiet. Mm-hmm. She breathed slowly, and she's trying to listen to see if he was still there. Mm-hmm. And after 30 minutes or so of listening and waiting, she became worried about running out of air and decided that it was time to get out. Mm-hmm. So while she's trapped in this box,
with her hands and feet bound and tape on her mouth.
Marcin goes to an ATM and steals 500 pounds out of her bank account and then goes to Patrick's to play video games.
Just casual. Doesn't run away. Just goes to play video games.
Nope. And so now she's under there and this amazing badass thinks, I need to get this tape off my wrist. I need to be unbound to escape. And she's like, well, I have my engagement ring, and she uses it to cut herself loose.
Girls, this is why we need jewelry. Girls.
Diamonds really are a girl's best friend.
And this is why you need I'm not going to say like a big old rock, but you need like a prong, you know? Like you need something on there that's going to catch and cut it.
Yep.
Because I don't know of any criminals other than people who are trying to like rob you. Like that's their goal, is to get the jewelry. Like any other criminal is not going to think to remove your jewelry.
Because they're dumb.
Because they're stupid.
So once she can move, she starts, again, hacking at the cardboard box with the engagement ring as well, until eventually she crawled out of the hole that he had put her in. And yes, we do have a photo of her engagement ring.
I love that it's on her right hand now. You go, girl. So it looks like a 3-stone. Mm-hmm. And those are all going to have prongs on them. Yep. All going to have prongs. How many exposed prongs do I have, just in case my
I only have 4.
To kill me.
So, Michelina said, quote, I prayed to God to help me survive so that I could look after my young son. The thought of my son gave me the strength to fight my way out of the box and save myself, end quote. Yeah. And then I also have a longer quote. This is in her own words, how she escaped. And so this is from examinerlive.co.uk. Quote, I started kicking at the cardboard. I was clawing at it and digging with the ring and kicking it. I felt weak, but I kept going. And once I had a hole in the box, I pushed up against the earth and finally pushed my head out. It was dark, but I could see the trees and leaves and sky. I gasped and took in huge gulps of air. I was covered in soil. I was so tired. I had no strength left, but I knew I had to get out. I managed to force my arms out, and it was then that I finally knew I was going to make it, end quote. And we do have a picture of, like, where she was, like, of the box and the tree and all of that.
Yeah, that's unreal. Lucky for her she was in a box, because that would be, like, that's something you can mess with, like, with a ring. Like, you can cut away at that.
Yeah.
But, like, wood, you probably wouldn't be as lucky, like, with a ring, like, with a piece of jewelry.
You'd need something
a little more substantial. Gosh.
So,
also, I'm just trying to sit here and think, like, for reasons I don't really want to get into very far, but I think y'all are going to want an explanation. I've been in a coffin before.
Haunted houses.
Haunted trail, yeah. I used to work at a haunted trail, and I did this bit where I was stuck in a coffin, and I'd scream, and then one of the other volunteers would slam the lid shut and jump on top of it, actually, which was, like, probably not a good idea, but, you know, I was, like, 13, and it was like, it's fine. But, like, and I would kick against it, you know, like...
Yeah.
You know, like freaking out, like trying to scare people. And I'd like kick my feet like you will when you're swimming, you know, like really fast. You're gonna have to get a lot of lot of power and just grit to kick through it.
I think that you can hope that, because those are. It was probably a nicer coffin.
It was a prop. No, it was like made out of just like scrap wood. Like it wasn't even real.
I was gonna say, because you can like break through like plywood.
Yeah.
With your body, you just gotta.
It was made to the dimensions, but it wasn't like legit because
we used to have
we're poor.
a real coffin for our haunted house that we used to do because my uncle used to work at a funeral home.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, because they would, when you go to a funeral home, they have coffins on display.
Yeah.
These are the display coffins. Well, they get new ones in every season, like you do with clothes.
Jeez.
So the old ones, like, he just, like, was like, hey, boss, can I, like, keep one of these instead of tossing it? Because, like, we're having a haunted house with my family.
Yeah.
And so they're like, we just had this
real coffin.
So she gets out of the box.
Michelina.
Yeah. She gets out of the box, and she flags down a passing car who calls the police. So Marson and Patrick were arrested at Patrick's house.
Playing video games
that day. Marson tried to say that it was a prank, and he intended to go back and get her, but if she hadn't escaped herself, she literally would have died of suffocation.
Yeah.
People speculate that he was over having her in his life and was planning on killing her and then giving their son to his mother to raise.
Trash.
Yeah. He, like, wasn't even going to raise him himself. He was like, here, Mom.
Trash.
So Marson was found guilty of attempted murder and received 20 years. And then the police searched his house, found a ton of explosives, and he was sentenced to 8 4-year terms to be served concurrently, which means, like, at the same time. And Patrick was found guilty of kidnapping and was sentenced to 4.5 years in juvie because he was basically a child.
Yeah. But you're 18, which makes you legally an adult.
They're in the UK. It's different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They actually, like, care about the fact that juveniles are juvenile.
Yeah, yeah.
Unlike Patrick, or Marson, who had a fully developed frontal lobe.
Yes, because once you're 25, is it 25 or 26?
It's 25-ish.
Ish. Okay.
I mean, you can't, like, really say.
I don't know.
It's like
he probably fried his brain with all the
steroids.
But I'm just saying, if you intentionally endanger human life, like, you need more than 20 years.
Also, he was trying to kill her.
Yeah.
The plan was to kill her.
Yeah.
And if she hadn't escaped, she would have died.
Yes. Jeez.
So that's our first one. And if you didn't think that you should trust your fiance before,
hopefully you know them well enough and you have a healthy, meaningful relationship, so you wouldn't have to worry about this.
But
her relationship was definitely not healthy.
Well, the thing that really gets me is, like, they had known each other since 2005. It was 2011. And so I feel like you really know somebody at that point. And, like, again, he was never physically violent towards her before then. Like, he would get, like, angry.
Yeah.
And, like, but he had never tried to hurt her before this.
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't like a cycle of abuse where, like, he would, like, abuse her and then apologize and convince her that he was really sorry and he was going to change. Like, it was just, like, one day he decided to kill her and then he did. Yeah,
it's just, like, he's just always been a trash human being, just not a physically abusive trash human being.
So now we're going to talk about our next one.
Okay.
So our next one is Stacey Gwilliam. Sorry. Stacey Gwilliam was 34 and living in South Wales at the time of our story. Her fiance was Keith Hughes, a 39-year-old bodybuilder. What is it with bodybuilders and burying their fiancés alive?
Maybe if you're engaged to a bodybuilder, you should be a little worried.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've
only talked about 2, but still.
Yeah. Well, and both of these women are, like, pretty tiny with these giant fiancés. Just be careful. This couple was even more volatile than our last one, with Keith physically abusing Stacey prior to the attack.
Ugh.
During their entire relationship, he hadn't been a stand-up guy. He had actually been in prison before for attacking her 3 separate times.
Girl, get out.
We'll get to it. So while he was in prison, she was diagnosed with cancer.
Oh.
And when he got out, that's when they got back together. And, like, when you're in a hard time, you go back to what's comfortable. And for her, like, he was that. She said about him, quote, Keith had a good heart and I was attracted to his charm, but he was like a Jekyll and Hyde character.
Oh, jeez.
End quote. So, and, you want to believe the good in people. Don't, but you want to.
Yeah.
So after all of this, they get engaged. And when they got engaged, she said that was his commitment to changing and, like, being better. Spoiler alert.
It didn't work.
He didn't.
Yeah.
And I get wanting to believe the best in people. And if prison was rehabilitative and not just punitive, we might have hope. But we don't. Mm-hmm. And he didn't do anything to deal with his own issues.
If he has hurt you so many times, enough to be imprisoned 3 times because of stuff that he did to you.
It was prison 1 time for 3 times he hurt her.
Oh, okay. Well, still. Maybe marriage is not a good idea.
Yeah.
With him. Maybe not.
Maybe not. But, and again, he didn't do anything to deal with his own issues, and so she ended up bearing the brunt of it.
That kind of thing, like, people have to want to change, and they have to want to work at getting better. Like, that's a commitment. It takes work. It's not just something they can say, oh, yeah, I'm going to be better, but then if their actions never change, they're not going to get better.
So 2 weeks after they get engaged, he kicks her in the stomach and steals money out of her bank account, and she's like, I'm done, and leaves.
Good.
So you go, girl.
You go, girl. Also, he kicked a cancer patient in the stomach. I just want to say that.
Yep.
What kind of cancer did she have?
Cervical.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Also, kicked her in the gut.
Yep.
Cervical cancer.
Yep.
Kicked her in the gut. Horrible person.
He's a trash human being.
Yep.
So he was also a master manipulator, and that's how these people work.
That's how they are. Yep.
So he apologized and asked her to go on a walk with him to try to sort things out. And she's like, we're going to be in a public place. Yeah. I'm still not getting back together with him. But he kept, like, calling her nonstop and demanding that she talk to him. And he wanted to apologize. And, blah, 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 blah. And she had no intention of getting back together, but was like, I'll go on this walk with you because we'll be in a public place. And theoretically, that'll mean I'm safe. Mm-hmm. But, like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
So they go for a walk on Swansea Bay. And while they walked, he became enraged that she wasn't going to take him back.
And yeah, bro. Why would she?
So then he says, quote, if I can't have you, then nobody else is ever going to have you. End quote.
Gosh. Raise your hand if you've ever been in an abusive relationship. They've said that to you. Anyway. Jeez. People are trash. Humans are trash.
Yep.
Men are trash.
So...
Jeez.
He then grabbed her from behind and strangled her until she passed out.
Ugh.
Assuming she was dead, he covered her body with dirt and trees and just left her there. So they were like on a beach and he was like, well, and so he basically like dug a shallow grave very badly,
like
covered her in dirt,
grave, like enough,
put some like stuff
just
on her.
A little bit. Yeah, like maybe a couple inches.
Yeah, and it was enough to where it was like hard for her, and she was literally buried, but it wasn't like they had dug a 6-foot grave and then put her in the, it's different from our last case.
Maybe like, I don't know, 3 feet?
It was probably like a foot, like just
foot?
enough to get her under
the ground. Okay.
And then he covered it, and then he put like trees and shit on top of her.
Yeah.
And he just leaves her there.
Trash.
So when she came to, this is what she describes.
Also, she's not in anything.
No,
she's just
it's just her in the ground.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, quote, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. It was like I was paralyzed. It was awful, really. Trying to get your head together to work out what was going on around you. I tried to get up, but couldn't. I had to use my nails to get out of where I was. That's all I could do. I tried to push, but I didn't have the upper strength, end quote.
Yeah, because she's a cancer patient.
And she's buried.
Yeah.
And like,
I feel like my first instinct is going to be to kick, which I think is not going to be a very good idea.
No, probably not.
I know.
But like, there was a Reddit thread. People are like, she wasn't really buried. She was just like under some stuff. And I'm like, it was under enough stuff to like cover her body.
Your eyes. Like, yeah. And it's sand, which sand is heavy.
Yeah.
Right?
So like,
sand? Because they're
on a beach, so I imagine sand.
Yeah.
And also like Reddit people stop being assholes.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to kill her.
Have some compassion.
She literally clawed her way out of the debris that was slowly crushing her. And once she was like out, she just staggered to like towards this nearby golf club. And people saw her and obviously called for help.
Yeah.
She was in a coma for 26 days and she's still slowly recovering. So when she came out of the coma, like she still had to walk with a cane because like her body had been injured by the stuff that was on top of her. Mm-hmm. As for Keith.
And also, I feel like if you already have cancer.
Yeah.
Like, your body is already weakened because I'm assuming she was going through treatment.
Some sort of, yeah.
Yeah, so, geez.
So as for Keith, he was arrested that day after crashing her car because he was driving it drunk.
Of course he was.
When they took him in, he said, quote, "You'll never find her."
They always say that.
Only to be told that she was alive.
Only to be told we didn't have to.
Yep.
She found us, like...
He was sentenced to life in prison, but with the possibility of parole after only 8 years.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either.
I'm serious. Like, listen, I like to believe the best in people. I shouldn't, but I do. I like to believe that people are capable of change, but most of the time they prove to me that they're not. And this guy...
Clearly he's not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Yep. And then to end, if you are the victim of domestic abuse in the U.S., you can call 1-800-799-SAFE for help. This will connect you to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So they can help you come up with a plan, talk to you, try to get you somewhere safe.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for listening, and check us out on all our social media. You guys know the drill at this point. We hope you are preparing to celebrate Christmas safely and healthily, and we hope that with the turn of the new year, things get better for everybody out there. So thank you guys for everything. We love you. We appreciate you. Come back next week.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. In the meantime, stay safe out there.
Thanks for watching. Our music is by Purple Planet. Our art and logos are by Catherine Dodds. If you'd like to support us, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/nsgopod. And don't forget to listen on all of your favorite podcasting platforms.